Welcome to Directions from a Spiritual Tour Guide. I am Shanel Scott, a healer and a psychic medium who has been sharing my gifts professionally for more than a decade. This is a space where spirituality is simple, grounded, and lived, not performed. Here, we talk about the real inner work, the pauses, the questions, the healing, and the moments that shift everything quietly. This is the real talk for real life, without the fluff, the bypassing, or the pressure to be anything other than yourself. Through honest conversations, guided healing sessions, and soulful reflections, you'll be reminded that you already carry the wisdom you're seeking. Spirituality isn't something you chase. It's something you remember and embody. I'm here with you on this journey we call life, to gently guide you back to yourself, to reclaim your power, and remember your sacred self. From my heart and soul to yours. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome. My name is Shanel. I am your host and your spiritual tour guide as we challenge and travel the path of life. And challenge is the word that's coming up for me today because this episode is special in the sense that we're talking about Lionsgate Portal, which I'll explain why that's special for me. And we're also going to talk about a challenge that I've really been looking at in myself lately, and that is capacity. Can you hold what you're asking for? Can you hold what you are asking for? This question has resonated in my chest so much lately because there's this feeling of, do I have the capacity to hold what it is that I want to create? And it's a really important question to ask yourself. Let's talk about Lionsgate Portal because this all ties in together, and I want to address Lionsgate Portal as well as this question of can you hold what you're asking for, because they do really actually go hand in hand. I don't prescribe to a lot of the portal stuff that goes on, but I do to the Lionsgate Portal. And it's spirituality, it's astrology, it's whatever you believe in ultimately, because our spiritual practice should be really personal and it should really resonate with who we are and how we feel and the things we believe in. And this one always just stands out for me. A lot of the other ones that people talk about, I'm like, meh, you're making it up, or okay, sure, whatever. But this one always holds kind of this powerful energy and I love it. So the Lionsgate Portal is a period of a symbolic alignment between the sun and Leo, because we Leos are sun people. We are the light. The sign of Leo is the only sign that is not attached to a planet. Planets reflect light. Leo is attached to the sun, which creates light, and a star, which also creates light. So just a little side note on the Leo energy. It's all about the light. So symbolic alignment of the sun in Leo, the earth, and the Sirius star. So the Sirius star is the brightest star in the sky, and its alignment often recognizes the cosmic new year, which there's so many places throughout the year that we can create a new year, but this one is always really potent for me. Now, the other side of that is August is when my birthday is, and it falls in the Lionsgate Portal. I was born on August 4th, which is also the Queen's birthday, side note. And it is part of the Cosmic New Year. So there is this piece of, for me, it is a new year for me in my life. So it's also a moment of like pausing and reflecting and so on and so forth. It's heightened by the energy of the Lionsgate Portal. Now, this year's Lionsgate Portal is interesting because when we take 2026 and reduce it to a single number, it reduces to an 8. An 8 is infinity, it is abundance, it is all those beautiful things. And so 8-8 August 8th, 8/8, is symbolic of the energy that comes through. And I loved it because the second I asked my spirit guides, like, tell me what I need to know, they're like, it's auspicious energy. And I'm like, okay, let me look up auspicious so that I make sure I define it correctly. And it really was exactly what I was feeling. And it was just the perfect word for it. Auspicious is promising success, and it's favorable, and it's like good luck. And that's the energy of this period, this Lionsgate period. So 8/8, and then because it's 2026, it's 8. So it literally is 8/8/8, this Lionsgate portal. And it is a beautiful, auspicious energy for transformation, for promoting manifestation, for promoting self, and really stepping into this question that we're asking, can you hold what you're asking for? Because this period, this portal, is really about abundance and asking for what you want. Now, I just want to say, it is a portal, and it has a long window, because it is the movements of the sun, the earth, and the Sirius star. So as they move into the fullest and move back out, there is this energy that kind of goes onto both sides. Now, the lead in always feels more potent than the lead out. It dissipates faster, but it's still a beautiful period of manifestation. It is a time to really ask the universe for what you want, but let's go back to the question, can you hold what you're asking for? This Lionsgate portal is here for it, but there's more to it. And that's what we really need to get into today in this episode. Because I want to give you tools. I want to give you understanding. Yes, you have to do the soul work, but I want to give you what you need to know to be able to actually use this auspicious energy. I'm just going to keep using that word because it's so great. To really create transformation, to really move in the direction that you want to go. So let's talk about capacity, because that's what I brought up at the beginning. I keep on asking myself about capacity. And the capacity we have to hold something is kind of a tricky situation. And like everything, there's always kind of these layers upon layers upon layers. When we believe we want something, I want true love, I want a promotion, I want a bigger house, I want lots of money. Because that seems to be the one that everybody wants. I want lots of money. But do you have capacity to hold that money? We think that having more money is going to reduce the number of problems they give us. But the reality is it's just different problems that exist when you have more. And I'm not trying to bash it, because maybe those are good problems for you and not bad problems. But there is this piece of, at every phase, every stage, there is always a capacity piece to it. I want true love. Well, do you have capacity to hold that relationship and what that relationship brings? Because often the truest relationships we are supposed to be in challenge us, because they are there to promote healing and growth and embodiment. And to be able to be in those relationships, we have to have capacity to do the work that is there. So capacity is a huge part. Now, the challenge about capacity is that if our nervous system associates this growth, this thing that we want, with pressure, with more responsibility, with stress, the possibility of disappointment. I know disappointment, that's my magic word. We consciously resist it. If there is a possibility that this is not going to go right in our subconscious mind, as I feel my back firing up, that's where I get all the subconscious stuff, we will shut it down. And again, it's subconscious. It's not necessarily conscious. Manifestation isn't only about attraction. It is about allowing. And are you allowing what it is that you want to come in. Do you have capacity to allow it in? Let's use an easy example. If you have a cup and you fill it with water and then you keep it running, it overflows. The solution is into the cup. It's a bigger container to hold more. Lionsgate is this bigger container to allow us to hold more. It is an invitation to expand. And sometimes we have to recognize that we must expand our capacity to be able to hold more. Because when we're just keep pouring into that cup and we don't have it, it's just overflowing and going away. It's overflowing and becoming overwhelming. It's becoming frustrating. It's becoming too much. So how do we expand to make space for more? Your beliefs define your capacity. Your beliefs take you where they are. Now, you know me. I work with belief systems. This is my jam. I take you into that original root problem, that original belief system that is creating chaos in your life, that is running in that subconscious programming. And we begin to uncover it to be able to understand more deeply why these belief systems exist, why you believed at one point that they kept you safe, and why they bring you comfort. But understanding that those belief systems define where we go is really important. Your belief system becomes your capacity. Knowing that. When you say things like, I can only make so much money. I'm not ready to do the thing. Success bypasses me. If I show up the way that I am and who I am, people won't like me. Rest needs to be earned. That's the shameful one. Everybody gets rest. When we recognize these belief systems, I have to do it all by myself. I can't trust other people. Other people are going to let me down. When we see these, which are often subconscious, so when emotions show up, they're an invitation to receive and to explore because we are being triggered, which means that there is a belief system that's being, and we need to acknowledge what it is. What is that belief system that's coming up? Where are you not holding capacity? I want to grow my business, but where are the places that my belief system is saying, oh, too much, too much. You can't do that. That's not safe. And again, I know, bearer of bad news, they're often not conscious. So we have to have the awareness to be able to dig into the pieces that are triggering us and coming up. That tear, those anger, that frustration, those are invitations to dig, to discover those subconscious belief systems, to uncover them. They are the invisible ceiling that we keep bumping into. They are the frustration of not being able to see it, it's invisible, and wanting to move forward. So what belief have you mistaken as truth, but the reality is that you can change? This moves into our nervous system, because the nervous system is really important. And whenever I talk nervous system, I think, ooh, that's not spiritual. But it really, really is a spiritual practice. the thing I love is when science backs up the woo. And this is one of those moments. We meditate to calm our nervous system, to put ourselves into a frequency, an energy of receiving. It's science that backs up the woo. The nervous system has to feel safe to be able to receive. And I don't know why we think we get to bypass this in spirituality, because most spiritual practices are about calming the nervous system. When I realized that, I was like, of course. Of course. You know that saying, I was today years old? That was years ago. But when you recognize, and take a moment to think about your spiritual practices and the things that you do. When you recognize that your spiritual practices are about calming your nervous system, we go, oh, that makes so much sense. What often happens is we move into flight, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And I love the fawn. It's a new one, and I'm all for it because I think it's one that a lot of us do. When our nervous system is dysregulated, we move into survival mode. And that takes us into fight, which fight or flight is the one that we talk about all the time. Fight or flight. So are we going to fight? Our blood rushes into our extremities, not into our brain, but into our extremities so we can fight or bite, kick, punch, whatever, face it head on, or flight into the legs so we can run as fast as we can and get away from it. Because fight and flight were about danger. Now, the funny part is our mind doesn't notice the difference between real danger and fake danger. It just goes danger. And this is where we get ourselves into trouble because we like to create fear around danger all over the place. Now, freeze is that one that we see often where people are a deer in the headlights. They're just frozen. They're stuck. They don't know what to do. They're not fighting. They're not flighting, running away, but they are just frozen. And the last one, which is one I like, because I think we don't see this one for what it is, but it is also nervous system dysregulation, and that is fawn. Get it? 4 Fs. Fight, flight, freeze, fawn. This one is like pleasing or agreeing with the threat. And I thought, ooh, this is the one we see in abusive relationships, in narcissism. We just bow down to get through. And I think we do this one a lot more than we think we do. This one's dangerous because it is less conscious. It is complete survival mode of how do I shrink? How do I fit in so that I can keep the peace at all costs? And all of those represent nervous system dysregulation. All of those mean that safety is an issue and we are in fear. What happens, like I said at the beginning, is that our blood isn't pumping to the places we need it to. Our awareness is not inside of us at all. It is completely external. And it is paying attention to things that it doesn't need to pay attention to. It is creating more fear, more anxiety, more of all the stuff we don't need. We are not in a state of receiving. We are in a state of falling apart, of survival. And when we are not in a state of safety, it's harder to hear, it's harder to understand, it's harder to see, because we are just in it. We are spiraling down the rabbit hole, we are exploding, whatever it is, we are in the chaos. And that is not a state of receiving. Receiving requires relaxation. It requires us to soften and calm the nervous system, to open to receive. Hence, our spiritual practices are all about calming the nervous system. The Lion's Gate portal is an invitation. Instead of asking, what do I want? It is asking the questions that connect all of this information. Capacity, safety, nervous system regulation. It isn't about loading up the nervous system with more and creating more chaos. It is about asking the questions that bring that feeling of safety and calm. The questions that you can ask to give you more capacity instead of less. Vision boarding can be great, but it can overload the nervous system and send you into the 4Fs. But when we ask questions that are more internal, more reflective, we can see things in a different way. Who am I becoming? What version of me can hold this dream? What belief system needs to be released? What would the feeling of being safe look like? What does it feel like? Can I hold capacity for what I am asking for? And this isn't about judgment. I just want to shut that down right there. If the mind is kicking in to answer these questions, just stop. These need to be answered by the soul. These are statements from the soul that come from a place of truth and trust. So when the mind kicks in and the fears start spiraling, you know you're asking the wrong part. Sink back down into the body. Come back to nervous system regulation and receiving. And open yourself to the answers. Ask yourself, in the expansion of Lion's Gate portal, the expansion of myself, what part of me would feel excited? And what part of me would feel afraid? Take the time to sit with that, because that will give you answers around belief systems, around capacity, around holding safety. And it will show you the places where you need to shift and change, where transformation is asking to come forward. Change is challenging because our brain is programmed for comfort and safety. We have to convince it that this new way is both of those things. And we do that through repetition, moving through that discomfort, acknowledging the healing and the embodiment that needs to happen to create alignment with who you are now. Expansion isn't about becoming something new. It's about creating an inner safety to let your soul fully express itself. Holding safety, calm, to allow receiving to come forward. When we find this, We really learn where our capacity is, where alignment is needed. And we really evolve and expand, which again is that invitation of the Lion's Gate portal. This one feels like one you may need to listen to a few times to really get all the pieces of the puzzle that you need. So take your time, be gentle with yourself, and open your capacity to receiving your dreams. From my heart and soul to yours. Until the next time, my friend. Bye now. Thank you for spending this time with me. If something from this episode resonated, let it settle. Awareness will always show you what you need to know. If you feel called to go deeper, you're invited to explore the ways we can work together through private sessions, group experiences, and guided practices, all shared at my website, fromtheheartandsoul.com. And if this episode supported you, subscribing, leaving a review, or sharing it with someone on a similar path helps this work reach those who may need it. Trust what stayed with you. Trust what stirred. Those are the directions meant for you. Until the next time, keep listening inward and walking your path in your own way. From my heart and soul to yours.